Hello, welcome to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back and thank you for tuning in again. So today I am going to share with you all my story of having PCOS. First and foremost, PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that does not mean that you have to have cysts on your ovaries. I'm just going to explain to you all or share with you all some different symptoms you can or will experience while having PCOS. Symptoms of PCOS include, but are not limited to, enlarged and/or cystic ovaries, irregular periods, hirsutism, weight gain and obesity, acne and skin issues, infertility, skin tags, fatigue and low energy, and hormone imbalance. I was 16 years old when I was diagnosed with PCOS. I remember starting my period while I was around 9 years old, and nothing was ever normal for me after that day. But you know, when you first start your period, it takes time for things to regulate. So me and my mom, we thought it was just normal, it was just taking that time, but eventually things just kept getting worse. Even though I wasn't sexually active, once I turned 16, I had my first pap smear, and I also was ordered to get a transvaginal ultrasound to see what was going on inside of there, because even my doctor was like, something's not right. After I got all of my results, the doctor had diagnosed me with PCOS, and I had no idea what it was. They were acting like it wasn't a big deal. They were basically just like, you have PCOS, but you'll be okay. So what they did, they just threw me on birth control, and I was like, okay, I can take it. I don't care, because one, I'm not having sex. Two, it's just a little pill. What harm could it do? And later on in life, I'm realizing that it can do a lot of harm to your body. Birth control is not a magical drug. It can have some terrible side effects. Guys, it's a lot that you'll go through with birth control. I've started noticing most of my symptoms maybe once I was about 18. I had stopped taking birth control. I've always been on and off with it because of the side effects, but I would have prolonged bleeding. I remember one time I had my period for 3 months straight, literally 3 months straight. I also had delayed bleeding, so there would be times where I wouldn't see my period for about 6 months. And I was always a little bit happy when I didn't see it, but I would just be like, man, I know when it come on, I'm going to be bleeding so long. So it was like a bittersweet type thing. On top of that, I would have huge blood clots. I would have extremely heavy bleeding. Guys, when I say heavy, I mean front to back. Repeatedly. Sometimes I felt like I would literally pass out. I've also experienced chin hairs, anemia, and mental problems. Yes, guys, mental problems, mood swings, all of that. And this was with and without birth control. Now, keep in mind, everybody, this was all happening before I was even sexually active. So that did play a part in me waiting so long to have intercourse, because I was always bleeding. I always had issues. So I was like, I can't even try to do anything because I can't. But pretty much the only thing the doctors ever told me was that it would be hard for me to have kids, I would have to stay on birth control, and I needed to lose weight. Every little thing that's wrong with you, the first thing the doctor gonna say, well, you could lose a little weight, which I understand. Weight does play a big part in our lives, but come on now. It gotta be something else I can do other than lose weight. Weight shouldn't be the main factor here. Something is wrong. I remember this one time when I first got on birth control. Trigger warning. Let me stop right now. This is a trigger warning. So if you don't want to hear this little part right here, just try to skip ahead. But I remember when I first started taking birth control, y'all, I had a clot come out of my vagina as big as my hand. And I will never forget. I get the chills just thinking about it. Because imagine being 16 years old and you just hear a big plop in the toilet, and you look in the toilet and see something like that. Y'all, I thought I was Virgin Mary. I thought I had a baby. I thought I was Virgin Mary, y'all. I was like, what is that? What is that? I picked it up out of the toilet and I was like showing my mom. I was like, Mom, look at this. What is that? I took a picture of it. And then when I went back to my doctor, I showed him and he was like, oh, that's normal. I'm like, this is not normal. Like, stop saying it's normal. It's not normal. Like, this is very scary. What is it? Like, so fast forward to when I started being sexually active. I started when I was 21 years old. And yes, I had been dealing with PCOS, but it never really occurred to me how much of an issue it was until I started having intercourse. Because I would go those months and months without having a period, so I would never worry about anything or any mishaps while I was, having unprotected sex. But a lot of times I would have postcoital bleeding, which is like bleeding after intercourse. And this wasn't like any normal bleeding. Like, y'all, it would be like big clots coming out after sex, no matter how gentle it was. And I was like, do I have cancer? Like, no, I'm being so serious. I know I might seem like I'm exaggerating, but no. I was like, what is wrong with me? So I just kept getting on and off of birth control because it's very draining to deal with those type of issues. Like, it can ruin your life. Like, it literally controlled my whole life. Like, I couldn't plan anything because no matter what, if I thought my period was coming on this time, it would come on another time. Like, it was just always so overwhelming. So as much as I did not want to go on birth control, I always ended up giving in because I just wanted some normalcy in my life. So the birth control would do good every once in a while. I would do it about 6 months at a time. But then like this last bit with my birth control, I was just like, you know what? I gotta try something else. I remember one time I was on birth control and I was still bleeding while taking the birth control, and I kept going to the doctor. I'm like, y'all, I should not be bleeding while on birth control. I was bleeding for another 3 months while taking birth control, and all they want to say to me is, oh, it takes at least 3 months for the birth control to kick in and regulate your cycle. So you telling me I'm supposed to bleed the whole time? Y'all, these doctors, like, don't get me wrong, I thank God for them, but sometimes they do not hear us. Like, they don't hear us, and I feel like it's so frustrating. I'm still frustrated about going through all of this because it's still like I don't want to say they don't care. It's just like you have to do the research yourself. You have to heal yourself, because these doctors, all they're going to do is throw some medicine and some pills at you, which don't even fix anything. It just masks the symptoms. Breaking point with birth control is when I started having suicidal thoughts, because I've never dealt with depression, never felt like I wanted to off myself. And then all of a sudden, since I started taking the birth control, I started saying things like, I just wanted to go jump off the bridge. Like, I literally felt in me that I wanted to go do that for nothing. Recently, like this last time I was taking birth control, I was losing weight rapidly. I think within a month, I lost like less than a month, I lost 15 pounds, and I wasn't exercising or anything, but it made me lose weight very quick because I was so nauseous all the time. Like, even if I smelled some perfume, I would be sick. If I drank water, it would make me sick. I remember I ate pizza, which is my favorite food, and I went and I threw it up. I thought I was pregnant, but your girl wasn't. It was the birth control, because I stopped taking it recently and now I've been eating everything. So I mean, it's a kind of a lose-lose situation, but at least I'm not sick anymore. So I made the decision to just stop birth control for good, because it does more harm than good. And I researched, and I know there are other ways to, combat PCOS. Right now, the things that I am doing now to get my PCOS under control: I stopped taking birth control. The last 3 months I did take birth control, and I stopped, I believe, last month. The 3 months prior to that, I was taking birth control just to regulate my cycle. And then I started taking inositol tablets. I'll put the real description down below of the name, because it's like myo inositol. I'll put it down there. I've also changed my diet, so I try to eat less red meats, more like lean meat, like chicken or turkey. I also drink a lot of hot lemon water. I heard that's really good for people with PCOS, but really good for people in general, like to drink hot water every day, all day. From one of my doctors, I've learned to eat more dark leafy greens like kale and spinach. That can help with your iron and your blood. You know, it's just very beneficial for people, especially those with PCOS. So yeah, guys, that was a little bit about how I went through PCOS or am still going through PCOS. If you guys have any specific questions, let me know down below. I tried to make this video as quick as possible because there are so many things I could go over, like going through PCOS. There's so many things I could tell you. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I will definitely share. I have no problem, because this is a place where we can all come together and talk about things like this. Because if you know, you know. The doctors, they're not going to tell you anything. They're just going to give you birth control and tell you to take them and get out. Like, everything that I know, everything that I'm trying to do to make myself better, I've had to go out and learn on my own. I've had to research. So if you guys have any tips for me, let me know down below in the comments. And I just thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you all later.